We're going to talk about play, and most of you are familiar with this term play, right? Now, playing is basically to free your mind. Like right now, I'm not sure whether you feel free. Are you all okay? Yeah? Is there a problem? You're hungry? But you can't eat in here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm also very tired. It's very difficult, isn't it? You're trying to juggle with so many assignments. But get used to it, it makes you tough. Yeah? We'll talk about that soon. Now, now play is just not something that you do without any discipline or without any kind of rules and regulations. In all things about play, if you want to talk, you can continue talking. Please do. If you want to play, then be playful. But you got to be playful for a purpose. Most of you, you want to find a reason to do something. I mean, everything that you do has a particular purpose, right? But if you want to play, if you're going to play with things, play around with words, play around with manipulate things around you, what exactly and why exactly are you doing it? Have you ever played pranks on people? Yeah, besides, yeah, I see you done that last assignment, right? So that is one way to play, because creating pranks and making jokes is part of playing too. And whenever you do that, you find that you are able to come up with all kinds of ideas. Somehow you're able to think of so many different things, which is very strange. But when I ask you to think about it, you can't. But when you start to joke with your friend, you become more creative. What happens? What happened there? Because when you're joking, the three parts in your brain that controls humor start to be reactivated. You see, humor is very important. Emotion, everything, all the emotion that you have in response to playing is very important. And in order to get this emotion out, when this emotion is activated, you will start to become creative. You start to become more relaxed. Your brain brings out the, what do you call those, endorphins, and then you start to laugh and smile. Have you heard of the laughing yoga? Have you heard of laughing yoga? You never heard of laughing yoga? You never heard of it? Oh my gosh. The guy will go like this, like, you want to try an exercise? Okay, let's do a little short one exercise. Just sit where you are. Don't have to stand up. Just sit straight. Yeah, sit straight. Yeah, okay, good. All right. Good, 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 good. Now, with both your hands, okay, do this. You got to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Okay, deep breath. Now, take another deep breath. Breathe in goodness. Let go bad things. Now is something different, isn't it? Now breathe in awesomeness. Let go horribility. Okay, now, are you ready? Breathe in awesomeness. Let go negativity with a laughter. Okay, breathe in awesomeness. Positive, positive. Let go negative. It's happening, isn't it? Yeah. That, my friends, that's how they practice laughing yoga. So if you keep doing this, you start to laugh at yourself. Really, you start to laugh at yourself. And And after you have laughed for quite a while, you'll feel better. And somehow you get the innate ability to be able to imagine. Your imagination is like suddenly powered. Your brain's imagination like goes like running in all gears. So the power to visualize really depends on your ability to play. Now, play can be intentional, play can be natural, but you have to find a way to know how to and when to play. So the power to imagine greatly depends on your ability to visualize things in your head. Now, all humans are 80% visual. So in this particular context of this lecture on play for part 1, now for the next 2 weeks, we're going to have different sections of play that we're going to talk about. For this part, we're going to first talk about the very basis of visualization and how that is important when emotions stimulate you. Now, last time we talked about analogies. Now, in analogies, you see the different kinds of analogies. You've got pictures that stimulate your feelings, pictures that has direct analogies, direct representation. Say the word representation. Absolutely good. Okay, so now what that is the dictionary defines mental imaging as an experience, is some kind of experience of a sensory realism. Sensory realism means you're experiencing things not just with your eye, but you're experiencing things with your mind, with your hands, with your ears, with your emotion. So images can be activated through senses. Now in mental images, whatever happens in your mind does not appear automatically. Say when I asked you to laugh just now, something happened to your head. You were participating, but something happens. You were thinking about something. So the 5 senses are seeing, hearing, yeah, touching, tasting, smelling. Yeah. So these senses can also be grouped in 6 categories. All right. Now, if you group these senses into 6 categories of mental imagery, you have number 1, the first category we talk about is memory image. Now, what are the best memories that you have? Now, memory images are very powerful. Memory images usually are straightforward mental recollections. Now, of course, memories make up yourself. Everybody has experiences, and they are like burned into your memory. War veterans, for example, in their sensory, when they see a picture like that, when they see a picture like this, they start to recall the sound, they start to recall the heat, they start to recall the stress, they can hear people screaming, soldiers crying, dying, you know. Go ask somebody who has been in a war. Memories are very powerful. Memories are based on these kind of experiences. Now, this is talking about old experiences. Current experiences, if you've been to a concert, like a rock concert, what's the latest rock concert you've been to? 30 Seconds to Mars or what? Who? Where? What? Nobody? Justin Bieber? No? Ew, yeah, I know, right? Ew, yeah. Who said ew? Yeah, that's right. Okay, so now there are very pleasant memories too. Now, pleasant memories also take place like the things that you really like, things that you really enjoy and treasure. And of course, pleasant memories also talk about the most pivotal part of your life, like your first kiss. Now, you all know about this, right? Now, why am I showing this picture? Because the first kiss is an experience of relationship. Relationship is very powerful. If you have not experienced a relationship, then you're not human. You got to have a relationship. When I say relationship means it is not a romantic relationship. I'm talking about relationship between friends, relationship between different groups of people, relationship between the black and the white and the yellow and the green, the relationship with all these people. Are you connected to the person beside you? Now, you won't know that until you build a memory. So memory images are very powerful because you can intentionally build that memory. You can actually create an experience so that this memory will stay with you. Now, have you ever experienced doing an activity with somebody in class? You do not know that. But, well, this semester you'll be able to find out. Now, the second category is imaginary images. Imaginary images are mental inventions. Now, they're basically based on fantasy. You can fantasize. Like this picture was taken, this is a drawing, a concept drawing for Dinotopia. Dinotopia is a story where what if dinosaurs and humans can coexist? So, the what ifs, there are a lot of what ifs. What if, like you're a human being right now, and we are breathing oxygen, right? And we are drinking water, H2O. What is oxygen? O2, right? And you have two hands, you got a pair of legs, and you're meant to have these physical traits. Now, the planet Earth has oxygen, they have the composition of different elements in the air. And they have water. You have land mass, you got trees and leaves. Can you imagine what would you look like if Earth was not running on oxygen? Earth was running on methane. What if Earth had no water? And let's say there's no land mass, but there's no water. There's only little amount of land, and there's no trees. So how will you look like if you were to grow up in that kind of environment? Will you look like the same person? Absolutely not. So these are the what ifs that you can exercise. It's a good exercise to your mind. Now, what if men and women both can have children? Can you imagine men having children, women having children? I mean, men getting pregnant, women getting pregnant as well. So the men will walk around and say, oh yeah, I'm 3 months, it's like awkward, right? I mean, my gosh, men having hot flashes and mood swings. Oh my gosh, okay. So, I mean, what if? It's fun to explore the what ifs, And the battle between good and evil, people have visualized things like that in many, many forms, in all kinds of different artworks, and you understand what that means. Edgar Rice Burroughs, for example, Edgar Rice Burroughs liked to write stories about John Carter. I don't know where John Carter was inspired from, but those days he could actually do something like that. Imagine a world where a world like Mars that used to be inhabited by people, they had cities and all that. And now we have the technology to actually make sure that it's real. Yeah. And what if the world was united as one society and there's no currency? The world of Star Trek, for example, Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, when he created Star Trek in the 1960s, it was the height of the Cold War. You know what's the Cold War? During the Cold War, Russia and America were enemies, and Russia, they have the weapons race. They have nuclear weapons here. America wants nuclear weapons here. So it was quite tense in the world. I mean, everybody was worried that World War III might break out any time. And in America also during the 60s, it was also during the time of civil unrest in America where blacks and whites were fighting each other. I mean, the white supremacists that still don't want to share with the blacks, with the African Americans. They have segregation. For example, if I were to go in a bus, and if you see me, say, Mr. Charles, you cannot sit here, because you're a chocolate, So we don't like chocolates, Don't you like dark chocolate? It's much more good for your health, It's like. So anyway, yeah, racial tension was all around. So what Gene Roddenberry did was He was the first to create a crew of a starship called Enterprise. And the name Enterprise means unity or some kind of corporation, a cooperative hub where everybody worked together. And there was a Russian, an African woman, a Japanese man, everybody who represents the different ethnic groups, the major ethnic groups in the world, working together on a starship exploring the stars, where people's attention was away from racial tension and wars, but towards the heavens. So very interesting how fiction, when you think about what ifs, you can come up with fiction. The types of fiction that represents the essence of what society can represent. The other category is called the hypnagogic image. Now this is interesting. Hypnagogic image is something to do with a sensory phenomenon. Like you can induce hypnagogic image, like lucid dreams. You know, things like, have you ever been in a situation where you are neither sleeping nor awake? It's weird, isn't it? It's like you can't really tell you can't really tell reality around you. Just for that brief moment. Then after that you realize I'm awake. That's called like it's called lucid dreaming, because you're neither awake nor asleep. It's almost like if you're floating in the water and somehow the senses that has to do with your mind around you sort of like create some kind of weird, strange feeling. And it's only that time you start to not think about reality in your head. You start to think about stars, and you are floating, and it's like you are flying with a butterfly, that sort of thing. Have you ever thought about that? No, really. Huh? Do you want to try? And sometimes experiences like, has anyone been to a desert? That must be awesome. I've always wanted to walk on the desert sand, and I hope I get my wish. It's one of my bucket lists. I'd like to walk there and experience that environment. It'll be really interesting. And after a while being in the desert or being in such an environment, then when you come back to your home, you start to have the after experience. And because your senses were like on overload, you were really absorbing it, kind of like witnessing an explosion, a really loud, traumatic incident, you know. So the other category is called hallucinations. Now, hypnagogic images, sorry, I'm supposed to put this on, okay. All right, hypnagogic images produces hallucinations. Salvador Dali, this is a picture by Salvador Dali, it's a photograph. And Salvador Dali likes to paint dreams. So he's a strange, eccentric guy. So I don't know how many times he has tossed that cat, up there just to get that shot. Yeah, it's a sad thing. And Annie Leibovitz, one of our famous photographers, she's really good in photographing celebrities. She likes to bring the fantasy of Disney, the Disney fantasies, to life with her photographs. So check it out. You check out Annie Leibovitz, and you can actually see Little Mermaid depiction, reinterpretation of some of the popular folk tales. You have famous artists who likes to portray the position of human existence in a form of a painting. Yeah, and sometimes dreams and hallucinations, they have very strong representational value. It represents the impossible. That it represents what your intents are, your intentions. Yeah. Then the other category is after images. Now, after images is like this. Have you ever experienced looking at your teacher and then suddenly your teacher's head becoming smaller and smaller and smaller? You experienced it? Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, I was watching my maths teacher, and his head began to shrink before me. it looks so funny. It's like, oh my God, his head is small. You know, it's because I was just tired of looking at his face. You know, he kept talking and talking, and I stopped paying attention. And then his image of his head just kept going and going because I just kept looking at him. And sometimes when people look at you, right, you don't know whether they're paying attention. Maybe if you move this way and they keep looking there, you know. So that happens. But you know, when that happens, um, when you stare at a place for a very, very long time, the image burns into your mind. Now, as it burns into your mind, you have an after image. So how does it work? Stare at this star for 30 seconds. After you've done staring at that star for 30 seconds, look at the gray box. What color is the star? Black. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? Now, the same thing, if you look at the star for about 30 seconds, then if you stare at the gray box, you know, you stare at the gray box, then you see it becomes white. That's the amazing thing about our brain. You know, after images, it burns right through your eyes, and then something happens. The other category is called synesthetic illusion. It's to do with synesthesia. Synesthesia in synesthetic analogy, it is connected to synesthetic analogy. In synesthesia, it's all about interpretation. Now, earlier it was hypnagogia, which produces hallucinations. It's chemical inducement and things like that. But when it comes to synesthetic, it's interpretation. Now, it's multisensory. Now, what happens when you look at a mouth like this? This is an image taken from that very popular series, you remember that series? What do you call that? True Blood. Yeah, True Blood. That vampire series. Do you feel hungry after looking at this? Do you feel thirsty? Do you want, is something happening to you? Yeah, something is happening to you. Anybody want to share? Guys lah, right? Okay, this image, is the speaker moving? How many say yes? Is the speaker moving? No? Yes? Is it moving? How do you know it's not moving? It isn't. What about these? What are these? What are these? They're just lines. But what does that represent? A zebra. This was taken from some kind of oscilloscope printout, you know. So it could represent heartbeat, it could represent, a lie detector machine or an earthquake detector machine, could be anything. But whatever it is, it has a representation value. This conductor, he was conducting a symphony orchestra, and the artist actually interpreted the sound with the action of the music as some form of pattern, which is very interesting because it shows that everything has a representation value. You have a representation value. Sound has representations. Meaning has representation. So you can give representation to a meaning, you can give representation to your intention. Everything can have some sense of representation, whether it is lust, whether it is hunger, whether it is determination, and so on. So synesthesia is about that. It's about interpretation of, and you intentionally want to give a representation. Now, the other category is eidetic ability. Now, eidetic ability means you have photographic memory. Anyone here has photographic memory? This guy is the human camera. You must have heard about him. He's autistic. And what he's drawing there, like this is the city of Rome. You know what he does? When he's drawing, notice what he's doing. He's drawing the details of everything. It's so detailed. And when he drew this picture of Rome, he watched the whole city from a helicopter. Then after that, he came to draw this. So that's called photographic memory. This guy is amazing. All right? YouTube him and you will find it. His name is Stephen Wiltshire. So having photographic memory doesn't exactly make one creative. Now listen, you have all these, by understanding the different category of mental imaging, the ability to visualize in different ways in your mind does not necessarily make you a creative person. What makes you a creative person is your ability to connect, your ability to interpret, your ability to connect your left and your right. Because your right has all the ability of color and magic and all kinds of interpretation, all kinds of representation value. But your left brain is what makes it real. Can you translate these things into reality? So your left brain is actually as important as your right brain. If you know how to work together, like if you play music, you're constantly using left and right because you're reading your notes and you're playing with your heart. Yeah? So I think I told you what this is, right? So that's the part of the brain that connects both left and right hemispheres. Now, let's move on to imagine, right? Now, in this context of play, you need to play with yourself. That didn't sound right. No. No. Wait. Play with your imaginary self. Okay? You guys are so... Play with your imaginary self. Now, if you play with your imaginary self, who is your imaginary self? Now, have you heard of this person named Joseph Campbell? Now, Joseph Campbell is... he's a person who wrote a book. He wrote several books. And one of his famous books that was published many years ago is called Hero of a Thousand Faces. You know, in Star Wars, George Lucas wrote the story based on that book. Now, what does that mean? What is the representation of an individual? Every individual in this room is a hero. You're a hero. The women are the heroine. The guys are the heroes. Yeah, you're all heroes. But the thing is, what is your journey? Because every hero's journey is different. So how are you going to represent your journey? Now, what is the hero's journey? Now, this is just a brief thing, very brief explanation. A hero's journey is about you, and then you are being called to adventure. Someone somewhere told you that you can further your studies in the university. So it is your first call to adventure. You're embarking on a new journey. You're embarking on this, right? And then at some point you have mentors to help you. At some point you collect rewards. At some point you reap the harvest. You reap your success, okay? And there's so many ways to interpret the hero's journey. But the most important thing is, at some point, you will definitely go through a very difficult time called the challenges. Yeah? Now, the hero, like I said, the hero is never a person that goes through an easy life. None of your lives are a bed of roses. Anyone here believe that life is a bed of roses? Anyone here believe that life is challenging? How many of you believe life is challenging? How many of you here want to go home? Wow, there's more hands. Okay. So yeah, it is challenging to stay here, Mr. Charles. Okay, don't worry. I'll be done soon. Okay. So you have challenges. Now you are the hero and you have to go through these things. But what's going to make you go through this well is what? Tools. You need the right tools. You need the right knowledge. And that's exactly what you're going through at this point. And then later on, you will go through some sense of transformation. Now, there are many ways to look at it. There are many understanding and research to do with your journey. There's so many ways to see it. There's the road of trials, the departure, the initiation, the return. It's like you leave the village, okay? You leave the village. I'm going to kill the dragon. And then the villagers all give you a send-off. He said, yeah, take this, here, take all these, take my special amulet. And then your girlfriend or your boyfriend is like cry to you, oh, come back please, oh, we're waiting for you. And then you embark on your journey. Then as you go to the journey, you go through some problems. I hate this, I don't know, I should go back. And then suddenly you see a little bird flying and the bird talking to you. And the bird said, don't worry, you will get energy. Just have to drink from this tree. That sort of thing. So then you get knowledge, you get strength. Then later on, you will transform. You fight the dragon. Then after fighting the dragon, something happens to you. You are a different person already. That lesson of fighting the dragon has made you stronger. Then you come back to your village. Then the village celebrate your return. But then your girlfriend is pregnant. Oh, that sucks for the hero, isn't it? So, okay. So there are many ways to see it, right? So there are many ways for you to illustrate, to create some kind of representation, all right, of yourself going through this journey. So how do you do this? Basically, you are the hero of your story. Your first task is basically to identify what this is. Identify what is it that represents you. Who are you? Who are you really? Now remember this. I'll talk to you about this. Are you a magician? Are you a wizard? Are you a superhero? Some of you are like, no. But are you a warrior? Really? You're a warrior? Let's put this to the test. I'm going to shoot at random. Whoever can catch the thing, you're going to have to answer a few questions. Okay? But you will be rewarded. Huh? Okay? I've got a reward. Who got it? Did you get it? Okay. Okay, so I can see that she got it. All right, what's your name, young lady? What? Elaine. So Elaine, what are you? Are you a warrior? Are you a warrior? You don't know? Are you a wizard? How would you see yourself? Are you a wizard? You're able to get things done really fast? Not really. You can magically get knowledge like so easily? Is it possible? Now tell me, Elaine, if you were an animal, what animal will you be? What? What? You You are scared of animals. Okay. Oh, all right. If you're an insect, what insect will you be? If you are an insect. If. Come on, give me an insect. You like spiders. And why do you choose spider? Huh? Spider is stronger. Anyone agree? Spider is stronger, is it? Yeah, actually spider is interesting. Do you know, okay, which spider are you? Do you want to call yourself a black widow spider? Do you know what's a black widow spider? A black widow spider, you know the female black widow spider that has the red markings under the belly? That spider eats the male after it's mated with the male. So it shows that you have a very strong character. Give her a hand clap. Okay. All right. Come and collect your reward. You can come and collect your reward. It's a secret. I can't show you this to you. So the next person who gets shot will get a reward. Here you go. Okay, who's the next victim? Come on, you all have these as well, right? Nearest person, you. Yes. Yeah, so what's your name, young lady? What? Farah. So Farah, tell me, are you a warrior? Are you a wizard? Are you a superhero? What are you? You don't know? Are you a warrior? Really? You don't know? You a wizard? You like to help people? You like to help your friends? Then you're a superhero. Because superheroes do that. When you're okay in your assignments, then you finish your assignments early, you tend to want to help your friends. So you're more like the superhero. You know, you are able to finish your work like just like that, done, you know. You get your approval so easily, but you're bored, like, oh, is that all? I just help my friends, you know. That's a superhero. If you're a warrior, you can take a lot of things. You can take criticism. You can take it. No matter how many rejections, you can really take it, right? But if you're a wizard, you can magically make it work. For some reason, you know where to get what, you know the right materials, you just know. And it's so frustrating, right? If you see some of your classmates who are like the wizard. So frustrating, right? Yeah, it's very frustrating. How does he do it? You know? How does he do it? How does she do it? So it just baffles your mind. So that's the wizard. But if you're the warrior, it's all hard work, sweat. Most of you are like that, I think. I think those who are in the architecture program, oh boy, you're going to go through a transformational